My name is Varun Gwalani and I've written the book Believe, and what most people don't know about me is that I've written a book and that it's available for you to buy. I've been writing for a very long time, and I started out with short stories, and I grew and I eventually knew that I would want to write a novel someday. I knew that it was inside me, knew it was in me to write the novel. So I started writing, conceptualizing this novel at about 15, and about 16 I actually got down to it and started writing it. And then for about 2 years I continued to write this novel, and finally I finished it. And when I finished it, I approached publishers, I sent the manuscript, met all of their guidelines, all of their requirements, until finally one of them got back to me and said they were interested, and that they wanted to publish my book eventually. The whole point of creating this parallel universe was to create a sort of allegorical world in which I could talk about the problems or represent the real world in sorts of ways that I can't do in life, that present day life. And for example, I can't talk about religion, I can't talk about women's rights or sexual assaults or all of that in the real world because it causes too much controversy. But at the same time, if I create it in a world that people purport as fiction, then it comes across as more universal. It can apply to any part of the world. It can apply to any aspect, because that was the intent. Because that was the ultimate intent of the novel, was to create a universal appeal, and to attack more at the core of the basic human psyche, which can be affected by these same events in different cultures in different ways, but a baseline universally on the same level. Let me tell you, one of the reviews that I got recently said that that they didn't like my book, which was fine, but they also said that in the future they hope that I would churn out better books, and that's representative of the problem right there. Churning out a book is not something that you do. It's not a assembly line of a factory on which you churn out different books of the same kind, which have the same plots and same themes, which is essentially what is plaguing most of the market right now. They're just going on the same themes, and all those books are selling. And so many readers who don't read that kind of stuff, who read English literature that is a good Indian English literature or English literature from abroad, they feel disillusioned with the fact that Indian authors have stagnated to such an extent that they're not really trying to experiment, they're not trying to innovate, they're not trying to make a name for themselves as Indian English authors, which is something we should have done by now, after having this long tradition of writing English. And I think that as a young author, as someone who is trying to innovate, I can at least hope to achieve something new in the field, which will hopefully inspire new innovations elsewhere. You have to love writing, but writing is like any other relationship that you love. It's going to have its ups, it's going to have its downs, you're going to hate it at some points, but the whole point is that you've got to keep going back, keep trying for what you do. Second tip is, if you have writer's block, write about writing, about why you can't write. So, and a lot of my stories have come best in that way. And the third tip is, don't listen to tips by other writers, be your own self and figure your own self out. I see the point of Twitter as only if you have certain followers, a certain amount of followers who you can actually talk to. It's pointless, otherwise you're just talking in space, and that's not really nice.